Hello wonderful people, you're welcome to my channel, and if this is your first time of discovering this channel is centered around sewing. I make sewing tutorial videos, pattern drafting and ready to wear outfits. So in today's tutorial I'll be teaching you the easiest method on how you can draft a bustier with a yoke together with a turtleneck. So before I proceed with that, I would like to appreciate all my subscribers. I really do appreciate your subscriptions, and if you're here to subscribe to this channel, please just do that, and so you get notified whenever I post awesome videos. Subscribe to the notification bell and also like this video. So like I said earlier on, in this video I'll be teaching you the easiest method on how you can draft a bustier with a yoke together with a turtleneck, and it will be having a little bit of sweetheart neckline as you've seen in the video already. And without wasting much of your time, I will just get started with this tutorial. So, and of course we are getting started by drafting a bodice, and I've already marked out this line, but I will explain. The first one you see there, which is 2.5, is my neck depth. The second one, which is 9 inches, is my bust line, and the third line, which you're seeing, is my under bust. The fourth line is my waistline, and the last one is my allowance. So my shoulder is 14 divided into 2. I got 7. That's what I marked there, and my neck width is 3. So that's what I just marked there, and I'm connecting it to my neck depth, which is 2.5 inches. Remember I told you there's going to be a turtleneck, right? Yeah, so that's just what I just did there. So once I'm done with that, I go to my shoulder line, I come down by half an inch, and that half an inch I'll be connecting from that half an inch all the way to that my neckline. Yeah, to give it a shoulder slope. Yeah, it is actually necessary to do this, and if you're familiar with drafting a bodice, you understand what I mean, right? Yeah, so that's basically what I just did there. I'm trying to label all those lines so I don't get confused. The first one is the bust line, under bust, my waistline, and the last one is my stitching or sewing allowance. So on your bust line or your bust point, I just came up by 1 inch, and I connected from that 1 inch to my shoulder line or my shoulder slope, and I'm just trying to extend that line, and I'll just come to my armhole and divide by 2, and I'll just mark the middle point of my armhole, and then I'll come to my chest line, because the place where I came up by 1 inch from my bust line automatically becomes my chest line. I divided my bust by 4 and I marked it there. So that middle of my armhole, I just came in by half an inch, and I'll just connect those 3 lines together. Yeah, just watch what I'm doing, please. I divided on my chest line, I divided my bust by 4. That's how I got that point there. So I just connected from my shoulder to that half inches I came in by to that my chest line, the point which I made there. I hope you understand, right? Yeah. So now I'll be taking in my dart, and my nipple to nipple measurement here is 4 inches. So I'll be adding half inch for stitching allowance, and I'll be having 4.5 inches, and that's what I'm trying to mark all the way down on all these lines. So before I just proceed with that, remember that this dress will be having a yoke, and I'm working with a yoke of 6 inches. So I'm just trying to mark it so that I can start with my measurement, and you can see I've already marked that, and I'll just draw a straight line across. And once I'm done with this, I'll just label that part as my yoke line so you don't get confused. And I'm giving it a little bit of sweetheart neckline, and that's why I use my curved rule. And as you can see, I'm just trying to give this a little bit of sweetheart neckline. So I'm just blending this in to give me that perfect sweetheart neckline shape which I want, and that's basically all for it. So for that top part, which is my yoke line, which is my yoke, I won't be including into all these measurements. I hope you understand what I mean, right? Because I'm totally going to cut it off. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is under my shoulder line, that's from where that yoke started. Okay, I'll just connect these lines first. I'll just connect all these lines together. So just watch what I'm doing. on that line where my yoke stopped, on that line, that will automatically become where I will start my new shoulder measurement. I will, on both sides, I'll just go out by 1 inch at both sides. 1 inch at both sides. That's at that point exactly there. So when you get to your bust line or your bust point, you come down by 1/2 inch and you mark it by 1/2 inch, please. And on your under bust, you also come out, you go out by 1 inch at both sides, and you also repeat the same for the other lines that is remaining. So once I'm done with that, I'll just connect with my curved rule. As you can see, I'm illustrating it. So you just connect with my curved rule, all these lines together. Please just watch carefully what I'm doing, and please do not skip any part of this video, because the part you skip might actually be the most relevant parts which you actually need for this tutorial. So just watch as I'm connecting all these lines together. So right, remember that at that point where my hand is now, we went out by 2 inches, so we are automatically going to replace that, and that place which I'm making that bad mark is not included. That was actually a mistake. So you just add back that 2 inches at that point where I just marked. That is because when we're taking our darts, we are going to lose 2 inches, so we just replace it at our armhole, and that part automatically becomes our new armhole. Okay, so I'll just start imputing all my necessary and required measurements. So on my bust line, I divided by 4 and I added 2 inches sewing allowance. And on my underburst, you're not going to add anything there, so you just come to your waistline, you divide your waist by 4, you mark it, you add 2 inches. That's the 2 inches which we took in for our darts. You add it first, and you now add extra 2 inches or 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I hope you understand the explanation I just made, right? When you divide by 4, you add back that 2 inches that intake which we had earlier on, and you also add 2 inches or 1.5 sewing allowance. I hope you understand. So when I'm done marking all of that, I'll just with my ruler connect all these lines. And that's basically all for this tutorial. And sorry for the upper part of this dress, for the front part, sorry. So just watch as I cut out, so you know the parts which you have to cut out, please. So here, this is what it will automatically be like once you are done cutting out. And I'll be drafting now for the back part of this my dress now. So I already have my pattern paper, and for the turtleneck, the front was 2.5 inches And the back neckline is actually going to be 1.5 or 1 inch depending on your preference. And that first line I just used is my zip allowance, which is 1 inch. And I'm trying to use my yoke to trace out the yoke for the front parts. So I'm just marking my shoulder and my neck there. It's 1 inch and 7 inches for my shoulder. That's just what I did here. So I'll be placing my yoke on the back piece just to get exactly what I got for the front part. I'm not including that sweetheart neckline part because that's actually the back to be straight. I don't want it to be curved or anything. So just watch what I'm doing. Even if you don't understand, you're definitely going to understand what I'm doing. Even if you don't understand what I'm saying, please. So I'm just repeating what I did for the front. I've marked my bust point, under bust, waistline, and my stitching or my sewing allowance, and I'm extending all those lines now. And I did what I did also for the front. At that my bust line, I came up by 1 inch, and I'll just extend down my armhole and other lines as well. Exactly what I did. You divide your bust by 4, you mark it on your chest line and connect to your shoulder line and armhole. So here now I tried to take out that again as well. So your bust line, you mark 4.5 inches on all the lines, excluding the yoke line, please. So you connect all the lines, and I'll just try to label all this first. So once I'm done labeling all this, on my bust line, you come down by 1/2 inch, and on your waistline, you go out by 1/2 inch at both sides. So when you're done with this, you just connect all these lines together, just like I'm doing, and that's basically all. So all you just have to do now is to start inputting on your measurements, and don't forget that for the front panel, for the front bodies, after taking each measurement, you added 2 inches stitching allowance. So that's the same stitching allowance you're going to add for the back. So I've done that, and I'll just connect all these lines together. And I'm just cutting out because I'm done drafting for the back part. And please just watch carefully so you know the part which I'm going to cut out, please. And this is just it. This is just what it will look like if you're actually following my instructions. This is what you come up with, and I'll be drafting or cutting for the So for the padding, I'm working with the wording. Yeah, this is called the wording. And what you have to do is under your underbust line, you just try to fold it in. Measure up to your underbust. As you can see what I'm doing there. You just fold it in, and once you're done, you just cut it out like this. And please make sure that you fold your wording or your normal breast pad or whatever it is you are using. Make sure you fold it into 2 the way I just did here, and you cut exactly the way I'm cutting from your under bust up to the point which your dress will be starting from. Okay, so you can see how it came up looking nice and neat. And I went ahead to draft out on my fabric, and this is 100% African print fabric, and that's for the center front of my padding. And now we're cutting for the side, and as well I went ahead by folding my under bust, because your cup will be sitting from the top of that dress to the under bust. Okay, so that's why you fold in the under bust part. Even if I don't really explain this very well, just watch what I'm doing. There is no way you want to understand. So you come to your bust line, you mark 4 inches or 5 inches depending on your bust span or your bust circumference. I actually had to reduce this later on to 4 inches because I'm working with a bust of 35. So if you're working with a bust from 40 upward, you can mark 5 inches from that point, what I just marked there. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm saying. So remember that I made the points there. If you can see that point I made at the top and at the under bust. And from my bust points, I just marked 4 inches, and I'm just going to connect like this. Just watch carefully. I'm just connecting this. So this was the point I realized that I marked a 5 inches instead of 4 inches because I'm working with a bust of 35. If your bust is smaller, you can make it 3 inches, but please do not make it too close to your nipple parts, okay? So I've just done all this, and I'm trying to remove my pattern, and I'm cutting this out now. So here I have the two sides and the center front, and that shiny part of my wadding, I'm actually going to iron it to my fabric. Yeah, if you're used to this wadding, you know there is a part that is shiny, so that's what I'm actually going to iron to my fabric. And make sure you place all your pads on your dress very well. So I just went ahead to cut out my lining and my lining piece and every other thing, including my yoke. And my yoke is actually an illusion net, so that's basically what I'm using for my yoke. And I've already cut out everything. You can see it's already looking fine. Honestly, it's already looking fine. So I just decided to double pad this dress, not for any specific reason, but it's all about preference, right? Yeah. So I'm just trying to illustrate how you should iron. Look at that shiny part of the wadding. That's the part you iron directly to your fabric. Please, at the wrong hand side of your fabric, or not the right hand side, the wrong side. Sorry. So I'm just trying to place it well so they'll stay in place. So I'll just get started and iron all this out. Yeah, so as you can see, I've ironed all this, and that's what I'm telling you. There is this shiny part where when you iron it to your fabric, it just sticks to it. So that's basically what I just did, and you can see it's looking firm on my fabric. I actually like using wadding because I don't need to start stitching my pad to the fabric. You just have to iron. So I'll advise, maybe if you don't use your wadding, I'll advise you just switch over to wadding, because I think it's actually better than the other normal breast pad. So I'm illustrating how you should sew this. Please, we'll just watch carefully. And I've stitched that, and also I just use this fabric to form a straight line on my yoke. And to stitch your yoke to this, I'm just bringing the two middle parts and I'm pinning it down, and I'll sew all the way from that middle part to the armhole side. So that's what I'm just trying to do there. So I've done all this, but I thought I was actually videoing on how you can include your lining, which I mistakenly didn't do. But not to worry, I'll explain how I attach that lining. So to attach this lining, you have to, the way we attached our yoke, right? Bent over like this. This is how you bend it over, and you get that your lining. You place the middle part that's that sweetheart neckline, you notice that it went deep. You place it at that middle part, you pin it down, and make sure that the right side is what is facing the fabric, because by the time you join, you have these joinings, so the joinings will be facing you, right? So the knit part will be facing the yoke, and when you must have stitched it, you flip it over, and you automatically get this result of what I got. So you can go ahead to top stitch if you like. It's totally optional to you. And that was just the simple explanation I was trying to give. And I'll go ahead and also do same for my back piece. And I'll join both my front yoke and my back yoke. And this little design I did on the yoke, which is my illusion net. So that's basically it, and our cup is looking fine. Just follow all the steps that I gave or I'm taking, and you're definitely going to come out with this same outcome which I have here. So now we will try joining all our pieces together. So I brought my front skirts. I'm trying to join to the top part of my dress. So this is how you just place it and stitch, and you get one part of your back dress and also one part of the skirt part, and join this way as well. Just watch what I'm doing. Right side facing each other, you stitch, and by the time you flip it over, this is what you have. So we are joining separately yet. Now we're not joining together, and I've just done that, and see what I actually mean. And this is just it. We're not joining everything together yet, we are still joining them separately. And this is what I have. This is for the two back panel of my gown, and the other one is for my front. So the next thing we do now is to, that your zipper area, right? We are going to pin it down. For me, I have a 1-inch zip allowance, so I'm going to mark 1 inch, and I'll be using my pen to pin it down. When I'm done pinning it down, that's for the two back parts. I will now take my measurements, and I'm pinning down my shoulder area as well. It's not yet time to attach or fix my zipper, so that's what I'll be doing. I was just trying to do here. So when I'm done pinning it down, I'll just take my bust measurements, my bust circumference, hip, waist, everything, that I'll just stitch that at the sides alone, please. Just the two sides of my dress, and the middle, that's the zipper area, and the shoulder will still be unstitched or not stitched. So I've gone ahead to do that, and I just came back to show you what I meant, and this is just it. And the zipper area is still open with my shoulder, which I just pinned. I've not actually stitched it yet, but at this point I will now stitch my shoulder parts. That's the front and the back shoulder. I'm going to stitch them together. So when I'm done stitching it together, the next thing I will do is to also pin back my zipper area, because we'll be cutting for the turtleneck at this point. So I'm facing my turtleneck because first, before my zipper, because my zipper will be on top of the turtleneck. So you just I'll just pin this back. It takes time, but it's actually better it takes your time, and at the end of the day you achieve what you want, than being in a hurry or rushing everything and you don't end up or to achieve what you want. So as you can see, I'm joining my two shoulders together, and I'm trying to draft for my turtleneck now. So from that middle point, that's from the middle point from my front part, I'll measure up to my shoulder, right? You can see what I'm doing. And here I have 5.5 inches. We are trying to draft the turtleneck part here now. So I have 5.5 inches. So all I will just do is to write it down. That's for the front. I have 5.5 inches from the middle part. I folded into two. My two shoulders, I brought it together, as you can see in the video. So I have 5.5. So from that same shoulder, I'll also measure up to the end of my yoke. That's on that neckline, and I also have 5.5 inches, and I will write it down as well. So altogether now what I'm having is 11 inches. So when I must have spread it out, all I have altogether is 22 inches. I included both my zipper for the back, because of course my zip will be on top of the turtleneck. So to just start with this, I'll draft, or I'll just rule out a straight line, just a straight line with my ruler. So please ignore the double lines, because the double line is because the first line wasn't straight enough the way I wanted, so that was why. So I just went ahead from that beginning part of the line. I marked the 5.5 inches. That's for the from the middle part for the front to the shoulder line, and I also did the same for the back. So that point I just made is for the front and back, and I just labeled it. So from that point now you come up by 1/2 inch, and you slightly connect it to that shoulder line part. That's from that beginning point to that middle point is for the front. That's from my middle point to my shoulder. So that's why I just use my curved rule to curve that into that my shoulder line part. And from that 1/2 inch which I went up by, I'll be determining my neck, the height of my neck, and I'm going with 1.5 inches. So I'm just marking that bar, so you know that that line is actually useless. I'm not making use of it. I just came up from that original line by 1/2 inch, and excluding that 1/2 inch, I determined the height of my neckline. I came up by 1.5 inches, and I just marked it all the way on all those lines. I hope you understand what I mean, right? So using my curve rule, okay, I'll just connect it first, my straight ruler. So when I'm done, I'll just use my curved rule and connect all those lines together. Don't just connect straight. You connect with your curve rule, so you have that, it will look a bit slant. Just make sure you do this perfectly, much more better than me. So that's it. When I'm done connecting, that's the only thing you need. I'll just cut this out, and I'm labeling in the front and the back. So I'm done cutting this out. So I'll be cutting this now on my fabric, and it will be on fold. It's going to be on fold. And remember, I didn't add my stitching allowance. That's the part which I'll be stitching with my to my neckline. So at this point, at the two sides, that's the upper part and the down part, you don't cut exactly on the fabric. You leave 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch allowance, so you can use it to stitch into your neckline of your dress. So I just went ahead to cut this out too on my lining, and still on fold. I'm going to make a notch there so that I can indicate or identify the middle part of this my turtleneck. So when I'm joining, it's not going to be hard for me. And also the part that I'll be stitching to the neckline, that was another reason why I made that notch. So I'll just spread it out and that point where I didn't make a notch, I'll be stitching with that allowance which I gave earlier. So I'll be stitching on it all the way from the beginning to the end, and that is true. So I will do that, and this is what I have. Sorry I didn't really show that very well. So I'm trying to attach the collar for the turtleneck to my dress, and now I just folded this into two. Also the two shoulder are aligning, and I just made a notch there. And to perfectly get this, make sure that your fabric is on, that's the main fabric is on the neckline which you're trying to draft, not the lining. And you can actually also iron this out with a gum stay, that's for the collar, but I didn't just want to, not for any reason, but I didn't just want to attach a gum stay. You can as well do that, because when you do it to look firmer. So this is just it. I just pinned it from the middle part up to the back part of my dress. So that's basically all for it. So you just go ahead and stitch. When you're done, you notice that there's still extra inches. You take it in and you cover up with your lining. So I'll just do this and also attach my zipper to the back, and I'll show you the outcome of this dress. And this is the final look and outcome of this dress. You can see how fine and neat it's looking, and I urge you to please repeat what I've just done. Come back here and show me your end product. Thank you for watching. Please, at this point, if you haven't subscribed, I urge you to please subscribe to my channel. Like this video. If you have any question regarding what I just did, you can as well drop it to the comment section. And please, till some other time, do know that Exquisite Styles love you, and do really have a blessed and wonderful day. Until some other time, I'll still meet you in the same channel. Bye.